Hello, welcome back to the Off-Grid family. Today I wanted to do a project that's completely different to the one I'm about to do. Unfortunately, avian flu has hit the UK again. I'm not sure where it came from, but it's creeping its way down the country, and we live right at the bottom in Wales. And basically, within the next day or week, we'll get a warning saying put your chickens away and protect them from the wild birds. So I'm making a preemptive strike. I designed their chicken coop to be close enough to the shed for this exact reason. I can just slot it in a basic frame and then cover that in a netting, make a front door that will go at a right angle to that, and you know, they're in a pen, they're away from the wild birds, and we can get easy access to them. I'll show you my preliminary designs and what I'm going to do. Obviously, if you're having to do this, you won't be able to copy along with exactly what I do, but it might give you a few ideas of how to do it very, very cheaply. Let's get on. Now, if you are not very good with technical drawings, then this drawing might confuse you. It's very, very technical. It's very precise and accurate, but I'll show you it anyway, and you know, you can make of it what you will. And there we go, some astonishing three-dimensional drawings there. I didn't want to, you know, let you see this design without giving you full warning of how absolutely epic and awesome it is. Anyway, let me just talk you through it. This here is the shed, and that's why it's got this window here. You know that chicken coop's got two windows. It's obvious when you think about it. And basically all I'm going to do is this sort of H with the two sides on it, and I'm going to hopefully cover it in netting. I've got some netting somewhere, but I can't find it at the moment. I will have a look for it. So that will basically close off the top of the chicken coop from any birds of any kind. Now, if you watch my building the chicken coop video, you'll know I've got a door at the back of the chicken coop and at the front. This again was one to help it make it easier to clean, because fitting it through a chicken door is a lot harder than a human-sized door, but also it was to, in this case, if there was avian flu again, we would be able to let them out from the back. I am contemplating whether to make a small door in that big door, because at the moment their door is just a big door like this, and hinged at here and here kind of thing. And if it's a windy day and you open this door, it tends to blow around their bedding and stuff, so it's a bit of a mess clearing up. So I'm wondering whether I should take the door off and then make another little door in it, so it just makes life a little bit easier. I will probably do that if I'm not, you know, restrained by time. As I say, in the next few days, I think within two to 3 days we're going to get a warning to close off our birds. Anyway, the next thing I want to do is, in this gap here, I want to make a frame like this. Now excuse this drawing, I'm actually doing it through the viewfinder, so that the actual roof bit, the bit with the netting on, will connect up like that. And then I'm going to make an actual doorway inside it, so obviously I need to make a door frame kind of thing, and then have different pieces of wood holding the frame in place. And then I'm thinking maybe the door will be made with chicken wire, and if I have got the netting, I might just put that all the way around. It just keeps it very, very light, and we're in quite a windy area, so you know, I was thinking about a tarp at first, tarpaulin, but that will just get ripped to shreds very, very quickly. So if I just use the netting, I think that will last a little bit longer. And I would do it all with chicken wire, but you've got the expense of it, and also I bought very, very cheap chicken wire, and you look at it with a wet mouth and it goes rusty, which is a bit of a pain, so I don't want the whole place to go rusty very quickly. So anyway, the first part I'm working on is this bit here. I've measured all the bits and pieces out. It's 71.12 centimetres, which is 28 inches across, and then it is 93 inches along, which I haven't worked out in centimetres yet. I work in centimetres and millimetres normally, but I've got a tape measure that only has inches on it, and it was the one I picked up at the time. So yeah, it's got to be by 93 inches, and I've got a feeling that the poles I've bought, the battens of wood I've bought for this project, I've got a feeling they're 93 inches anyway, which means it was an absolute total fluke. If that's the case, brilliant. So I need to cut 3 lengths at 66.92 centimeters, because that is 71.12 centimeters, taking away the thickness of the wood on either side. It doesn't have to be exact, so I can just bodge it in anyway, which I'm probably going to do. Even if I go completely exact, I'll be out on something. So, you know, it's the way I work. I get used to making errors and fixing them. I think I'm one of those people who can fix an error better than I can actually make the device. I'll get cutting and I'll show you where I am in a sec. So I've cut my 3 pieces to the right length, and I've put them in either side of the work thingamajobby, the workbench. I've drilled some holes in pieces of wood at each end. I'm going to now countersink the holes I've cut. Now I'm doing the same to this one, and then I'll twist them and put them together. Okay, so there's that built. Now we need to put the middle bit in to give it a bit more support in the centre. Now, as you'll see, I'm not using any spirit levels or anything. I am just doing this by eye because it doesn't have to be exact. It just has to do its job, which is literally just holding a piece of netting. There's the roof frame. All it needs now is a little bit of netting stapled to it, but I'll do that after I've done the door and frame and so on. Okay, I've made a second frame now, and this will be where the door is. It's going to be a very rudimentary door. It's probably just going to be wood screwed into the top and bottom that's then got a few washers on it. This doesn't have to keep anything out except wild birds, you know. So unless they can open the door themselves, we'll be fine. Okay, so here is the frame for the actual wall, and then the frame for the door. And all I'm going to do is drill down into this bit, into this piece of wood, and from the bottom, and then have washers in between, and it's just going to open that like that. And then either side I'm going to be putting netting, and I'm probably going to have another piece of wood along here somewhere, but I'll decide where. That will just help square it all up. Three recycled washers. just going to do one washer in that side, so there's not enough room. There you go, simple door. It's not perfect, but it's better than nothing. I'm still going to have to get some supports in here to square this whole thing off, I think. Okay, so I've got the door on now, and what I'm going to do next is cover it in netting. I was at this point going to square it all up, but I thought to myself, I don't want to put any brackets on it or anything that might get in the way of where I'm going to actually hang it on, well, screw it onto the actual chicken coop. So I think I'm going to leave the squaring up to when I'm screwing it in, and I'll just make sure I drill it in all, you know, square and true that way, I think. But let's get the netting on now. Okay, the netting I'm using is just this stuff. This was from Wilkinson's, but you can get this from any garden store you want. And it's just garden netting. It says like keep birds away and all that. It's not going to last ages, you know, it will last a couple of years, maybe 3 years. And then you'll have to do it again, but literally all you're wasting is the price of the netting and a couple of staples. Now this is the actual door, as I showed you before. I'm just going to quickly square it up a little bit, and then I'm going to connect this piece of wood to hold it square, and then this will be the actual outside of the door. So when going into where the chickens are, it will open this way. So I need to just sort out getting it square first and screwing it all in. First screw I'm going to screw in, it doesn't really matter, get it to somewhere square-ish, because then it's the second, you know, when I start lining them all up, it'll need to be more square. Right, as I said, this is the stuff I've bought this time to do this, and it's the wrong stuff completely. It's horrible. It comes out like this. Let me show you. You know, it's but if you try and use a staple gun or anything, and you hit it on one of these, it just rips, and it rips mainly on every bit you do. So you actually have to bunch it up quite a lot to get it to be able to, you know, to be able to staple it so it's secure. Whereas the stuff I used before, which is just black squares, works a hell of a lot better than this. So I would advise trying to look for something different from this stuff. This is the way I found it. You can staple it best, is if you just curl it up into sort of like a roll and then staple along it. Otherwise it sort of, all the connections explode, and then you're just left with a hole where the staple was, so it's pretty naff. So as I say, go for the black squares, much better. The next thing I've done is just put a little batten of wood here, so it means that the door won't go any further inwards, because that'll be the inside, and now I'm going to put a lock on the outside, which is that side. As you can see, like, it opens up like this, but it won't go any further that way. It's just, you know, just an easy way of stopping it and only having to have a catch on one side. Okay, there we go, there's a simple lock. All I've done is I've put a screw through and then had a washer on this side, as you can hear. This is not touching the door in any way. That's multiple reasons, one of which, because I put this batten of wood here, I couldn't connect it directly to the frame. And I need the lock low because my little girl is the one who goes and gets the eggs. She absolutely loves looking after the chickens. So I needed to have it low and easy for her to be able to open and close. So if it was directly onto the other thing, we'd probably find that they're rubbing together and it'd be harder for her. But this way it's quite simple to open and close. And it shouldn't open on its own. It might do. If it does, then all I need to do is just tighten this up a little bit. I've put it on really, really loose to see because I want her to be able to still maintain and look after the chickens because it's one of her favourite jobs. Okay, so I'm going to go and put that all out. I'm just going to screw it into the fence and to our actual shed and to the chicken coop so it's all connected together. It should take me 15 minutes maybe. I won't bother showing you that, you know, it's literally just screwing in a few screws, but I'll show you what it looks like at the end. Okay, there it is. It's not fantastic, but it will do its job until the avian flu's, you know, buggered off again. Up the top, just up there area, I need to put a little bit more netting because it didn't go under the arch of the roof, but that's not a major issue. But there we go. Thanks for watching. See you again soon. Bye.